Welcome to another free tip video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about bankers rounding. I get asked at least once a month from people that want to know why their Access databases aren't rounding numbers correctly. People always want to know why. Sometimes the number rounds up and sometimes the number rounds down, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason why. Now here you can see a simple table that I set up with some doubles that go out to one decimal place. I've got 5.1, 5.5, 5.9, and so on. Now I've created a simple query, and all this query does is use the round function to round that number off to 0 decimal places. Now when I run the query, you can see the rounding results. 5.1 rounds to 5. 5.5 rounds up to 6. 5.9 rounds up to 6. 6.1 rounds to 6. 6.5 rounds down to 6. So as you can see, that's different than traditional rounding that you might have been taught in high school. In high school, we were taught that if a number has a 0.5, 1/2, or greater, then you round it up. Otherwise, you round it down. The problem with doing that, unfortunately, is that you get a bias toward rounding up. Over a large set of data, more numbers will be rounded up than rounded down. If you think of all the possible last digits, 0 doesn't need to be rounded because it's already round. Then you got 1, 2, and 3, and 4, which are rounded down. And then 5 through 9 are rounded up. So you got 5 numbers always being rounded up, but only 4 being rounded down. So over a large set of data, that's significant. So math wizards and accounting folks came up with something called bankers rounding. Bankers rounding always rounds 1 through 4 down and 6 through 9 up, and 5 is evenly split. Sometimes it's rounded up, sometimes it's rounded down. The way you can tell which way it's going to round is to look at the number to the left of the decimal place being rounded. For example, 6.5 is even, so this will get rounded down. 5.5 is odd, the number 5 is odd, so that'll get rounded up. So odd numbers get rounded up, even numbers get rounded down. Here you can see 7.1, 7.5 goes up to 8, 7.9 goes up to 8, right? But then 8.1 is 8, 8.5 gets rounded down to 8, and then 8.9 gets rounded up to 9. So that is something called bankers rounding, and Microsoft Access uses bankers rounding in all of its calculations. Yes, there are other functions you can use to always round up or always round down. I cover those other functions in my full Access courses. Speaking of my other Access courses, I cover bankers rounding and lots of other stuff in my Access Expert Level 8 course. Access Expert 8 covers all kinds of cool stuff, including calculated query fields, calculating sales tax, something called the if function, immediate if, which you can use to make your queries perform decision making, if-then statement basically, rounding values, where I talk about all the different ways to round, including that bankers rounding. And we start building an order entry system. We build an order form and an order subform with calculations. That's all covered in my Access 8 class. For more information on Access Expert Level 8, visit AccessLearningZone.com or click on the link below the video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.